Okay, interesting. Should be starting. Let's get started then. And there you go. All right. Okay. So, go out game dev, news, art, game development, updates Mondays and randomly. Again, I'm just starting this whole thing out. And yeah, we'll see where this goes. The idea of all this is to actually do community outreach. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this bit with the other bit, which is basically me developing, which is me programming a game and doing art, which isn't very fascinating, and you don't really need to watch all that. So first off, I want to start with an article by Zach Bell. Let me switch my stuff here really quick. And clicky click. All right, there you go. You should be able to see that now. And what you can see here is, so basically, Veda, I've never said her name. I've only tweeted her and messaged. Anyway, sent or posted an article by Zach Bell, and then I said I'd read it. They gave me some feedback, great outreach, and here it is. Basically, it is an article about first games, marketing, publishing, and postmortems. Zach Bell, with his team, recently launched this game, which I've been seeing on all sorts of different indie sites, like groups and support groups. And he basically talks about all the struggles that happened. So as I was reading through all this, number one, they talk about how they were started in developing the basic character. You keep going through all these to the majority 12 are dedicated to becoming proficient with the Unity 3D game engine and iterating on the overall design and game mechanics that center around shifting the traditional platformer perspective. Still not Fez. Number three, 2013 was the year that they brought new team members to handle pixel art and development, and hours went again used to correct design pitfalls that stemmed from work of 2011 to 2012. I'm sorry, I'm rushing through all these. Again, you can read the article yourself. It's zachbellgames.com. He just wrote it. Number four, as you can see it, during 2014, the core team quit day jobs without having done any prior marketing at this point. They insisted on planning a Kickstarter campaign. That's why it failed. They didn't do prior marketing. Number five, in order to take Poncho to EGX, a game conference, developer claimed to take out a loan to cover the cost. It was in the thousands. Yes. Conferences are a bit expensive. I don't want to ruin the punchline here. A trailer is launched. We could click on the trailer really quickly. Why not? Blink. I'll click on the trailer. Don't have my sound set up for it, so you can't hear all this cool, amazing music. It's a very nice little trailer. A bit long for 50 seconds, though, I'll be honest. To finally see the pixel-generated character, which is adorable, cute, and so forth and so on. And it goes in. And we see, like, there's a really beautiful world here. We're not really getting a sense of gameplay aside from it's a platformer, and it clues out. It's very artistic, very beautiful. It does get someone excited about that type of game. But as we can see, I'm going to skip to 8. In 2008, can I zoom in closer? Oh my god, I want to zoom in closer to this because I just started laughing. I still laugh at this. In 2015, the team brought RGS, an independent game publisher, into the fold, as well as ran out of money, lost a home, lost their development kits, and turned to marijuana to cope. And that to me was hilarious. I don't mean to laugh at people suffering, but I can understand that because, 10 years of my life being a creative in different fields, I understand, like, you put everything on the line because it's your passion. And, wow, that happened. But then has a happy story. 9 on November 3rd, 2015, Poncho was launched via Steam and PS4. The team fought mismatched reviews, a lack of publicity and cooperation from journalism outlets, little to no articles or noteworthy reviews, and poor sales to the date of this writing. The game has yet to make a single penny of revenue for Dwelve Interactive. 14 months after the release of Poncho this morning, the postmortem was published, and it was announced that further porting would sadly be canceled. Now, notably, I don't know how their legal was set up for their distribution, is that potentially if a game is in like sales for 10 years, it can make money. And there's a GDC talk about the like long thing of a game. It's like the post sales. Movies are interesting because if you have a flop that doesn't make it right away, in 10 or 20 years, a cult hit in movie terms could make all its money back and then some through different types of distribution deals, so forth and so on. Anyway, let's get rid of all this stuff. I shouldn't say get rid of this stuff. Let's skip all of it. I just want to kind of go to the end, which is happy. Again, you can read this entire article. It's a great article about the post-mortem. There's 2 post-mortems in it, and a lot of things you can learn from it. But again, I don't want to spend too much time on these things reading every word when you can do it yourself if you really want to. I think the conclusion's great. I'll try to read it a little dramatically. Like click, click, click. Let me get my dramatic voice going on. Conclusion. Be confident in your work environment. Don't rush into commercial products and extreme lifetime commitments. Be wary of the pros and cons of your game concept and be transparent with other developers to receive as much feedback as possible. Know when to put something down. Don't put all your eggs in one basket and create a lone job for something that you have not proven. Do not take personal loans for your first independent project. You're better off cutting scope, retaining a part-time, non-dev job, etc. Begin your marketing and your transparent development on day 1. Consider the downside to bringing a relatively unknown project to an expensive show floor, and consider the downside to sending a relatively unknown project to an experienced journalist. Only consider Kickstarter as a last resort and be aware of the costs that it brings. Contact an attorney prior to dealing with publishers or workers, especially if you don't know them personally, and be wary of monetary advances and what they do to your eventual revenue. Be open and honest with your publishing partners, and require that your partners be open and honest with you, and do an honest service to your fellow game developers by encouraging creativity and hard work, sharing the ins and outs of a positive game development experience, and pushing the general attitude and ethic of our industry in the right direction. So again, that's just like a sum up of the entire article. I think it's a nice read. I know 2 people that are going full-time dev. One's an awesome family man. Another person's an awesome single person. And they're quitting their jobs within this year, starting a new year, and they're just going full-time dev. So this is just something that to think about that. But something else about teams. Again, I talk in tangents. This is what this will be about too. So it's community outreach and trying to connect these tangents. I've got some gems. So let's talk about, let's do some real community outreach. So we have here Craig Watkins. He posts in Game Dev Beginners, one of the many Facebook game groups that you can join that are interconnected. But again, I'm trying to do this outreach because they're interconnected, but no one's connected. And interesting enough, he wants to work with someone. He is a programmer. He's looking for a visual artist. I posted, of course, my 2 cents on the whole thing. But there might be a little someone who's better. There's always someone better. And I found him on the daily discussion thread in rules. Daily discussion of game dev on Reddit. And interestingly enough, who do we have? Is he down here? Here we go. Hi all, I would love to work on a game. Am self-taught in Max. That's his Max site. And I'm usually messing about in Unreal Engine 4. Started a channel, YouTube, to get some tutorials out there. And I love his channel. Let's click on his channel. Much better than mine. He also does 3D. There's really cool music that you can't hear. I could try to hum it for you. You do 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 do. Wow, that's really cool. So I am not the strongest 3D artist. I know a lot of games require it. I'm really a strong 2D artist because of my comics background, but not a 3D artist. Anyway, skipping my drive. So I'm gonna hook these people up by just connecting them to each other and see what happens. By just posting in 2 communities and see what happens. And the thing I did want to bring up that's related to all this, as far as I think, again, there's really been no, oh my gosh, sign in. Wait, see. Oh, well, I had, again, this is a problem with live. I had this really nice setup of all this stuff that had these judge hammers with vector shadows. Well, like I said, I'm starting to do all this stuff, so bear with me. Can I get back? It's like Google's very hardcore about that stuff. I should have sent it to the thing. Well, anyway, let me just do this because I want to do this quickly. I have this judge hammer thing. I had a really cute graphic of 2 people fighting. It's really to talk about teamwork stuff. And a couple of things about teamwork. Now they don't have the videos, the audio visuals. You just have to bear with listening to my voice and looking at the judgment gavel there. And you can part of that outreach, I want to have more conversations. So you can, tweet me, comment wherever, and just tell me I'm either on the money or full of crap. And again, we already have extra credits. I love extra credits. They do cover some of these things. So this is my take on it. When you're working with people, you have to think about the psychology of your team. That's like related to trust issues, so forth and so on. You have communication, which again, how are you gonna like? Again, this is totally awesome extra credit episode on dealing with people all around the world in different time zones. But how will you communicate primarily? A lot of people are using Slack these days. Slack is a great way to communicate for projects. The other thing to think about though is milestones. Reaching those milestones. How do you reach them as a team? And then the other thing related to this, and also related to Zach's article, is this idea of, well, are you stable? Who are the people you're working with stable? You look at that whole documentary Indie Game, the movie, and the guy that was working with the Super Meat Boy creator was not in a stable situation. He was living credit card to credit card on rolling credit, and a lot of people are doing that. And I've kind of been in a situation like that, like a lot of creatives. And I'll tell you right now, I am now a happily married man, have a wonderful wife, have a nice day job that's not too stressful, and I am like ready to work on projects. And being more stable in my life has given me this kind of cool, office now that I can actually just focus and work on games, aside from the other things I have to do to try to make money because I have a baby. Oh my gosh. So that's another thing I think people should be honest about. Are you living off of credit cards? That could affect the overall outcome of milestones. Or people could help each other if they really like the people on the team. They could help them try to drive money toward Patreon, try to use their social to really boast their game. And in the beginning of that, like a project, maybe if they're stable, like I would be stable, and I have someone that is really talented but is not stable, I would do everything I could to try to generate money through their social media, however I could do that. And that would be one way to get that person funded who needs that more so on the team, and then eventually goes into when we get an actual full-time budget, and then we can actually get everyone paid and or go full-time dev if there's like a project that really you're passionate about and was commercially viable, and we did the Kickstarter or GoFundMe or whatever the heck it is. That's basically it. Oh, and I have the judge hammer here because I'm just throwing this out here, like how I do dating. I'm just gonna throw it all out the first or second or third date. Talk about the legal. This comes from like trying to do webcomics and comics thing, and that was always good advice. Like you don't know where things are gonna go. You don't know if it's gonna be a hit, a success, or a failure. And the biggest thing that I've gotten now from again just doing about 3 years of this is have an exit, a clause, meaning a way to dissolve partnerships. I'm just going to throw that out there. Prenups are not sexy. Prenuptial agreements, being an analogy to marriage, are not sexy. They may cause trust issues, but hear me out. If a person doesn't make a milestone, should the entire project suffer? I'm just saying that. And what is the compensation for the work that person has done? If they have sacrificed, lived off of credit cards, should they get nothing, or should they get a certain royalty or percentage if the project is to sell? Those are just questions I'm going to put out there, and I'm hoping that other people can get back to me via 3 groups that I'm trying to reach out to, one on Reddit, one on Facebook, and definitely the overall community on Twitter. Again, I'm just starting this out. This background's gotten better. I just cleaned up the office. If you see the other feeds I did, and I've got an LA Game Space poster there because I did kickstart that. I even moved to LA and there was no LA Game Space. Much love to the LA Game Space people, but I made the pilgrimage. Where was the Holy Grail? Well, anyway, that's that. Anyway, so I'm gonna cut this off, and what I'm gonna do is that this should post automatically through YouTube, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to go. I'm gonna try to do Twitch and to see if anyone really wants to watch me program on Construct 2 and struggle with an array system and a card system and maybe a function tonight, and sleep before work because that's important. What's the going out thing I'm supposed to say? Oh yeah, we're all going to die, and if we are going to die, we might as well do something good. So go out game dev. I don't know. I don't know if that's anyway. Peace, love, chicken grease. Why did I do this live? This was to save time. There's no editing. Oh no, I need to edit myself.